Hi, I'm Jake. I make RPG supplements and videos about Pathfinder 2, or PF2. I love PF2, and there's so much stuff you can do with this, including making superheroes, which is what we're focusing on in this series. So I've already covered Aftermath feats, Deviant Feats in general, and the Deviant Feats from a recent adventure path. Severed at the root. Don't do that, you weirdo. And now I'm going to be covering the Deviant Feats that have existed for quite a while from the Dark Archive and Gatewalkers. This is something that you could look up yourself on Archives of Nethys. I'm just going to be reading it from the website. But I'm also going to be including my ideas and my opinions and suggestions on, like, how you could change it. Did he lick my milk? Deviant Feats, short version, are they're feats that you take as class feats, or in replacement of class feats, that give you a really powerful ability that you can use a certain number of times per day that's really variable depending on your dice rolls on a flat check. And eventually they have a drawback. Backlash. Like, it might make you sick or hurt your friends or make you drain 4. But because they're so portable and powerful, they can fit onto any character. I'm going to try to shove some of them into my player's direction this week on the live stream. Let's see what happens. So, Deviant Feats, there are 2 universal feats. Universal is a classification. The different types of universal feat are bordered by classifications. There are 4 feats in each classification, and the previous classifications that I already covered are Blight Soul and Verdant Core. Briefly, universal feats, there's only 2, and they're both just to give you additional powers or little tweaks to your Deviant Feats. They give you an awakening for that feat, and there's only 2 possible awakenings for each feat. Each feat can only have 1 awakening in each character. And in each of these feats, you can only have 1 classification. So you can't mix and match. I think that's stupid and bullshit, so I'm going to ignore that personally. The first classification is Dragon. Deviant abilities often trace their origin to massive concentrations of energy, such as being at ground zero for a detonating magical artifact. These energies can linger within an individual to grant them deviations falling under the Dragon classification, gouts of flame, electrical breath, and the like, projecting and absorbing it to great effect. The name Dragon means nothing except that this is the energy-based classification. There's not actually anything that is specifically draconic besides breath weapon. Yeah, it's in here. It's probably why it was named Dragon. When you gain a Dragon-type deviation, choose a type of damage from cold, electricity, fire, or sonic. I would say you could include others as well. All abilities you gain from this deviation deal this type of damage and add the corresponding trait to the ability. You also use this damage type for the damage and weakness from your backlash. The backlash on this one is particularly nasty for your friends, which sucks. The feats that you can get, I'll go over in a moment, but first I'm going to go over the backlash, because keep this in mind when you are choosing these powers. I explain all of it in my overview of Deviant Feats. I'll put the link to the video at the end of this video, and in the description. But essentially, at some point, you're going to suffer all of these backlashes if you just keep repeatedly using your Deviant Feat power during the day, during the same 24-hour period. So, mild backlash, this is what happens if you fail your DC 5 flat check. As you channel energy through your deviant abilities, some of it turns back on you, spiking your body temperature or dancing across your skin. Mild backlash, you take damage equal to your level as energy scours your body. That's really not that bad for the cost of some of these abilities, like shooting electricity out of your mouth or flames out of your hands. Moderate backlash is what happens when you fail that DC 5 flat check twice. And the DC can increase. Anyway, you'll look at the video later. But this is what happens if you've failed it twice. Moderate backlash, energy racks your body. After taking the damage, you gain weakness to the energy type of your backlash until your next daily preparations. That sucks. The weakness is equal to 1/3 of your level. You also lose immunity to the energy type if you had it until your next daily preparations. I think this would be fun to apply to a monster for a GM that naturally had an immunity to the weapon that they're using. Okay. Because it would give a weakness during a combat that the players didn't think it had, it would be a fun, interesting, dynamic way to change the combat. Anyway, severe backlash. After the severe backlash, you can't use your deviant power until your next daily preparations. Severe backlash. Whatever furnace or well within you that provides the energy for your deviation overloads completely, cascading out of you in an uncontrolled burst. You deal 1d6 damage per level to all creatures in a 30-foot emanation with a basic fortitude save. You automatically take full damage without attempting a save. At least you can't take critical damage. Yeah, it's not that great. All right, now the feats that are related to the dragon classification. So any of these feats that you take are considered dragon, and they all have this backlash attached to them. Blasting Beams. Blasting Beams is one action. It's a level 2 feat. It has the traits Rare Attack, Deviant, Evocation, Magical. All Deviant feats have Rare and Deviant as traits. I'm going to ignore them from now on. Requirements. You have a free hand. A directed beam of heat or an arc of lightning is one of the simplest ways to project energy. You fire a blast or beam from one hand. Make an attack roll against a creature within 30 feet. If you succeed, the beam deals 1d6 damage for every 2 levels you have to the target, or double damage on a critical success. Some people may say, well, yeah, but a kineticist can do that. Well, yes, but in order to have this ability, if you're not a kineticist, takes minimum of 2 feats. This takes 1. And you can also put little, like, twists on it, or perks, or stunts, if you want to take an awakening. One of the awakenings, the first one, is your beams blast through targets. Instead of making an attack roll to damage a single creature within 30 feet, you can use blasting beams as a 2-action activity to damage all creatures in a 60-foot line with a basic reflex save. Awesome, because it's easy to direct lines away from your friends. The second awakening option is you can choose to launch smaller, quicker beams from your eyes instead, in which case you don't need to have a hand free. These deal d4s instead of d6s, but the attack has the agile trait and you don't need a hand free to make it, though your eyes must be uncovered. Cyclops! Yeah, okay, I'm a comic book nerd, so me. I'm all kinds of nerds. I'm a kitty nerd. Hello. All Deviant Feats are based on your class DC or spell DC, whichever is better. And so, the Deviant Feats are always going to be useful for whoever takes them, even if you're a fighter, because they need all the help they can get. Obviously, that's not true. They're mechanically extremely strong. I just think they're boring. So the next Deviant Feat in the Dragon classification is Consume Energy. It's a reaction, level 2 feat. It has the Abjuration and magical traits. Trigger. An enemy within 60 feet uses an ability that has the trait corresponding to your deviation damage type. It doesn't really say you have to know this somehow. I would say that you don't have to make a roll to know it, because that would more impair this feat. But if you want to go for more realism, you can require some sort of recall knowledge check when, like, a fire elemental throws fire. Your connection to energy is so much stronger than the offending display in front of you, allowing you to claim it for yourself. Attempt a counteract check against the triggering effect as you draw it into your body. If you successfully counteract the ability, you gain temporary hit points equal to double the counteract level of the ability, which lasts for 1 minute. The first awakening option. The energy you consume helps empower your abilities. The next ability from the Dragon classification that you use increases its range by 30 feet if it has a range, or increases its area by 10 feet if it's a cone or line. If you don't use this benefit within 1 minute, it fades. Obviously, that's going to be situational based on what other Deviant Feats you've taken. So you might not want that one. So the second awakening option is you channel some of the seized energy into your next attack. Choose one of your weapons or unarmed attacks. Ooh, Dragon Monk. Until the end of your next turn, strikes with the chosen weapon or unarmed attack deal an additional 1d6 damage of a type matching the energy you consumed. And I think that 1d6 should increase with the potency rune on your hand wraps of Mighty Blows. It just makes sense. Or the potency rune of your weapon. Yeah, okay. People use weapons too. I like witches and claws, and so I don't really care about weapons. Next Deviant Feat, this one is level 6. Each Deviant Feat classification has 2 feats at level 2, 1 at level 6, and 1 at level 10. Aside from those, the universal classifications are always 1 at level 4 and 1 at level 10. Storming Breath. 2 actions. It has the evocation and magical traits. You spit out a freezing breath or sonic scream. You deal 4d6 damage plus 1d6 damage for every level you have beyond 6th to all creatures in a 30-foot cone with a basic reflex save. Dragon Breath is great. You don't have to be a sorcerer anymore. The first awakening ability is... The first awakening option is your blast powerfully batters your foes. A creature that critically fails its save is knocked prone. Super powerful. Not always going to happen though, so let's see what the other awakening option is. The kickback of your blast helps you make a speedy escape. When you use this ability, you fly backward 15 feet in a straight line directly opposite your blast. This movement doesn't trigger reactions based on movement. That's great. Oh, that's so great. Because, I mean, it doesn't say this, but you can just blast down and fly up. Awesome. Next feat, level 10, Propulsive Leap. One action, it has the traits Evocation and Magical. By expelling flames from your feet or levitating through electrical repulsion, you propel yourself through the air. For 1 minute, you gain a fly speed equal to your speed or 20 feet, whichever is greater. If you aren't on solid ground at the end of your turn, you must attempt another backlash check for your deviation, though you remain airborne even if you fail your check, unless the damage from the check renders you unconscious. That would suck. Awakening. So first of all, that's not very reliable speed, but it's equal to your speed. So if you're a monk, like I mentioned before, at this point you'd have like, what, a 40-foot movement speed? Like at least? Maybe 50? Awakening. I'm sorry. What it meant by you have to attempt another backlash check is that DC 5 flat check. The thing with that check is that every time you succeed at it, it goes up by 5, unless you're me, in which case just ignore the increase. Yeah, the rules say it increases. Awakening. You blast through the air at great speed, gaining a plus 15-foot status bonus to your fly speed from a propulsive leap. Obviously that's good. Extra speed is extra good. Next awakening option is you can use your propulsion as a makeshift weapon. The first time each round you fly, starting from the ground, all creatures adjacent to you take 1d4 damage for every 2 levels you have with a basic reflex save. That's fun. You're just doing the Neo takeoff where all the force ripples out from you. That's it for the dragon classification. Now we're moving on to the troll classification. Again, the troll doesn't necessarily relate to trolls specifically, but it does relate to body modification and manipulating your own body, I guess. Things that affect your physical form. Especially common when a deviant ability is born of scientific experimentation, which is totally fun to do in Pathfinder 2. You should try it. The troll classification connotes improved physical abilities. While often thought of as biological mutation, clockwork implants and personal magical enhancements are equally likely mechanisms. I'm going to read the backlash again. This one is called Strained Metabolism. Your body's overclocked physiology requires larger than usual amounts of nourishment, leaving you weakened when it kicks in mid-combat. And these are going to be used in combat, so these are problem effects. Mild backlash. Your metabolism immediately burns through your body's energy stores, making you enfeebled 1 and clumsy 1 until you take a bite of food, which usually requires 2 interact actions, 1 to retrieve the food and another to consume it. I would talk to your GM about that one. Depending on who you are and who you're fighting, your enemy might be considered food. If they're grappled, restrained, maybe you can just bite them. There are ghoul-related spells that work that way. Maybe that'd work. Moderate backlash. So you fail the check twice. Ravenous hunger racks your body. You are enfeebled 1, clumsy 1, and fatigued until you can eat a full meal, which requires at least 10 minutes. That sucks, because then you keep those conditions through the whole combat. And these feats, this classification, are all physical, so you're probably in melee. Finally, severe backlash, after which you can no longer use these abilities. The strain on your body is truly incapacitating. You become sickened 2 as nausea racks you, and you are also enfeebled 1 and clumsy 1 until you can eat a full meal, which requires you to no longer be sickened. Ugh. You are fatigued until you can get a full night's rest. All of that kind of blows. And, as I mentioned, you don't have the ability to use your Deviant Feat power anymore until you complete your daily preparations again. Troll classification, Deviant Feats. These are fun, because I can use them to create other things like archetypes, Flesh Warper. I actually have all of the abilities written down. I just need to take time to organize it now. So I'll be getting that out soon. Bone Spikes, 1 action, level 2 feat. It has the traits Evocation and Magical. Sharp shards of bone tear forth from your elbows, wrists, or other part of your body. Ugh. For 1 minute, you can make Bone Spike unarmed attacks, which deal 1d6 piercing damage and have the versatile slashing and sweep traits. When you take the Bone Spike's action, you can choose one weapon on your person and duplicate its weapon runes onto your Bone Spikes, with the exception of any runes that couldn't apply to the Bone Spears. Awesome! Wow. Surprise weapon. First awakening option. Your bones grow longer, lashing flexibly at range. While you have Bone Spikes, you can interact to give your Bone Spikes reach 10 feet until the end of your current turn. This totally sounds like the ghoul archetype's abilities. I'm actually not that impressed by it, but reach is always good. Second awakening option, grooves in your Bone Spikes form a channel for venom. The Bone Spikes deal 1d4 persistent poison damage, which increases to 2d4 10th level and 3d4 18th level. That's cool. Yeah, I'd probably take the reach. The Bone Spikes are cool by themselves, though. And obviously the Bone Spikes aren't going to be for every build. It's pretty much just if you're unarmed, in which case you probably have an unarmed attack already. Next, Troll Deviant Feat. Titan Swing, 2 actions. It's a level 2 feat. It has the traits Magical and Transmutation. Your limbs tense as you deliver a mighty swing. Make a melee strike. If it hits, you deal an extra die of weapon damage and push the target back by 5 feet. Just if it hits. They don't get a save. That's great. If you're at least 10th level, increase this to 2 extra dice and push the target by 10 feet. And if you're at least 18th level, increase it to 3 extra dice and push the target by 15 feet. This is so powerful and fun. Just keep pushing people around the battlefield. First awakening option. On a critical hit, you push the target back double the normal distance and knock it prone. I was hoping for that. That's awesome. Push somebody 30 feet away, knock them over. Second awakening option. On a hit, you deal 1d6 persistent bleed damage. This increases to 2d6 at 10th level and 3d6 at 18th level. Persistent bleed could be really useful. I have to go with the first awakening, though, because it's so impressive. And if you're already taking this, you're probably taking it to move people around. And the first awakening just lets you move people around more. So that'd be the one for me. Now the most bullshit Deviant Feat. And the one that I love the most. Level 6 feat. High speed regeneration. It's a free action. It has the traits Healing Magical Necromancy. Trigger your turn begins. Your wounds knit together with barely a thought. You regain hit points equal to double your level. When you gain this deviation, the GM secretly selects one type of energy damage or precious material such as fire or cold iron. When you take damage of that type, your wound smokes until the end of your next turn, preventing you from using high-speed regeneration. I applied this in a modified form to the vampire archetype changes I made. I'll put that video link at the end too. I guess that's all I'm doing then, those 2 videos I mentioned. Or one playlist and a video. First awakening option for high-speed regeneration. Your regeneration can automatically save you from the brink of death. Once per day, you can use high-speed regeneration when your hit points would be reduced to 0 instead of the usual trigger. You avoid being knocked out and remain at the number of hit points you regained. Awesome. I don't think that's going to come up a lot. Like, if you have this anyway, you're probably using it before you drop because it's a free action. Second awakening option. Regrowth invigorates you. You gain a plus 10 foot status bonus to your speed until the end of your turn. Oh, when you use it. That's totally handy. And at only level 6. Ugh. Trolls. Troll classification's good. Let's look at number 10. 10th level troll classification Deviant Feat. Tectonic Stomp. 2 actions. It has the traits Evocation and Magical. You cause minor tremors that topple your enemies. All creatures in a 30-foot emanation who are standing on the ground take 1d6 bludgeoning damage for every 2 levels you have, with a basic reflex save. A creature that fails its save also falls prone. They don't have to critically fail, they just fail. That's neat. First awakening option for Tectonic Stomp. Your stomp also ejects large fragments from the ground. You raise up to 3 stone chunks from the ground in unoccupied squares in the emanation. The stones can't be adjacent to one another. The chunks are 5 feet tall, block movement, and are large enough to take cover behind. They have AC 10, hardness 8, and hit points equal to your level. They are immune to critical hits and precision damage. A stone chunk crumbles away when it has 0 hit points, and all of them crumble after 1 minute or when you use Tectonic Stomp again. Oh, okay, so you can't just create like a line of these things. You can have 3 at a time. Still, that's very useful. And that's neat. Your knocking your enemies prone and giving your allies cover to hide behind. Second awakening option. Your stomp rattles those who fail horribly. A creature that critically fails its save is also stunned 1. Yeah. That's awesome. This is powerful. I mean, at level 10, it should be. It seems appropriately powered for level 10, but it's a good one. And now our final deviation. Wraith. Wraith-type deviations often result from contact with otherworldly presences or artifacts, comprising a strange assortment of abilities that involve realms beyond our own. Backlash. Encroaching presence. Seeing and touching the beyond leaves you open to its alien influence, warping your perceptions and thoughts. Wow, that sucks. Mild backlash. Oh, and I would say that, like, this deviation, this deviant power would happen anytime somebody has any contact with ghosts or haunts. Like, this is too. There's a lot of ghostiness everywhere. I just realized that the ghost archetype could also have the Wraith Deviant classification. That's funny. Oh, the enervating whale would work well for that. I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, so backlash, encroaching presence. Mild backlash. Something inexplicable touches your mind, leaving you with lingering horror. You become frightened 3. It is frightened, though, so it fades at the end of every turn. So, like, it's not as bad as some of them, but it's still bad. I think I'd rather take damage equal to my level. Moderate backlash. Disorienting visions and figments cover your vision as if you're seeing through another set of alien senses. For 10 minutes, all creatures become concealed to you as they are covered in visual distortions only you can see. This could also be flavored like overlapping time figments. Like if you wanted to take Time Mage or a Time Mystery Oracle. This would fit well. Alright, so severe backlash, after which you can no longer use your deviant abilities until your next daily preparations. Severe backlash, your life force is siphoned away as the presence tugs your soul to wherever it resides. You become doomed 1 and drained 2 until your next daily preparations. That sucks. That really, really sucks. Really sucks. Jesus. That's 2 hit points for each level you lose, and you die earlier. But you know, if you don't get dropped to 0, it won't matter. So maybe it's not a big deal. Let's look at the feats. First feat, level 2, Eerie Flicker. It's a reaction. Traits are Conjuration and Magical. Hi, I love you. Trigger. An enemy's strike would hit you and you weren't already concealed, hidden, or undetected by that enemy. Your body flickers momentarily into the ethereal plane. GMs take note. If any creatures are on the ethereal plane near them, they would see this character. That's all. Go play. You become concealed for 1 round, and the flat check for concealment applies to the strike that would have hit you. If the flat check fails, the strike misses you. Cool. That's good. That's obviously awesome. Let's see what the awakening options are. Awakening 1. When your body flickers, you momentarily assume a terrifying form. If a creature fails the flat check against concealment from your eerie flicker, it becomes frightened 1. And it doesn't reduce the frightened condition from this effect at the end of the same turn it gained the condition. Well, that makes sense. Because they're going now, they should keep it for a turn. So that is obviously handy. You succeed in not getting hit, and you give your enemy a condition. That's good. Second awakening option. You can choose to compress your flickering movement into a single moment, increasing your chance to move kitty head to avoid the triggering attack in exchange for a shorter-lived effect. If you choose to do so, the flat check for concealment against the triggering attack increases to DC 9 instead of 5, which is a lot better, but the concealment affects only the triggering strike. which is why you're doing it anyway, so it makes sense. However, in a big group of enemies, that sucks. But it does say that you can choose. It's an option. You can still have it work for the next round if you wanted to. You could keep it that way. So Eerie Flicker, obviously it's defensive. But it could also be giving your enemy a frightened condition essentially for free, because it's a reaction. And if you are a caster, for example, even a healer, then you probably don't have a lot of reactions. So standing in the way of an enemy's attack, which then makes them miss, so they spend an action missing, and they get frightened, that's a good use of your reaction that you weren't going to use for anything anyway. So it can be good for strategy. Now let's see the next ability, Ghostly Grasp. Level 2, 1 action, it has the traits Evocation and Magical. An invisible arm extends from you to grab and manipulate objects. The arm reaches up to 15 feet, grabs an unattended object of 1 bulk or less, and immediately deposits it in one of your free hands or at your feet. That's handy, all for 1 action. Alternatively, it reaches up to 15 feet and performs a simple interact action like pushing open a window, though it can't perform actions that require significant mechanical dexterity, so it could open a door. Yes, hi. But it couldn't pick a lock. For every 5 levels you have, the amount the hand can lift increases by 1 bulk, and the arm's range increases by 15 feet. Neat! Being ghostly, the arm can affect ghosts, spirits, and other incorporeal entities, though in most cases you need an awakening for this to be useful. Like, you can touch them, but what are you going to do? Try to steal their jacket? Who cares? Alright, first awakening option. So I guess I should say that that is useful for somebody who doesn't have Mage Hand, who suddenly needs it for some reason. Awakening. Your invisible arm can grab onto an unsuspecting target. You can modify the power's target to be 1 creature within range. You make an attack roll against the creature's Fortitude DC and add the attack trait to the action. On a success, the target is grabbed by the arm or restrained on a critical success. This lasts for 1 round or until the creature escapes. That's cool. That's very useful. At range. Let's see what the second awakening is. You summon additional ghostly arms that entwine together to push targets. You can modify the power's target to be 1 creature within range. You make an attack roll against the creature's Fortitude DC and add the attack trait to the action. On a success, you can move the target 5 feet in any direction, 10 feet on a critical success. Yeah. So, like spell DC or class DC, I'm going to say that you can use your spell attack roll or your regular attack roll. Because it doesn't really specify, and it's better if it's spell attack roll too. So anyway, that's useful. This is all pretty good for... Okay, the awakenings are useful for moving people around. It's not really great for just its base ability. It just doesn't do a lot. But, you know, if you are creative, you could probably come up with some weird shit. Like it holds a can of paint over somebody's head and drops it. I don't know. Home Alone apparently is my creativity. Next Deviant Feat in Wraith classification, feat level 6, Enervating Wail, 2 actions that has the traits Auditory, Magical, and Necromancy. You release a terrible wail that tears at the spirits of all nearby. All living creatures in a 20-foot emanation take negative damage, void damage, with a basic Fortitude save. The damage is 4d6 plus 1d6 for every level you have beyond 6. Every level! Ooh! At 10th level, that's 8d6. That's neat. Awakening. Your scream echoes in the mind. You can choose to emit a silent psychic wail instead, which changes the damage type to mental, changes the save to a will save, removes the auditory trait, and adds the mental trait. That could be quite useful if you're sneaking around and stuff, or if you just want to target will instead of fortitude saves. That is awesome, and it's an option. Yes, I think that's a great awakening option, because you can choose to target will saves instead of fortitude saves. So useful. That's flexible. Let's see what the other awakening option is. Your whale saps your foe's strength. I'm just picturing a giant blue whale landing on someone. Yep, that would make him pretty weak. In addition to the normal effects, living creatures in the area are enfeebled 1 for 1 round on a success. Only living creatures, but not a critical success. Enfeebled 1 for 1 minute on a failure, and enfeebled 2 for 1 minute on a critical failure. But, like, there's one major problem with all of these. It affects all living creatures. That includes your friends. So I don't like that at all. Okay, I'm not saying it's crap. In the right situation, it's very useful. Like, to make a group of 5 minotaurs or ogres enfeebled 2 could save your friends a lot of pain. This is a personal foible I have. I tend to avoid powers that can hurt my friends, or that are likely to hurt my friends. Like the Storm Breath Backlash, I would have to be very careful taking any Dragon Deviant feats, because I wouldn't want my friends to get a fireball in the face, or a lightning ball in the lungs. I don't know. But this is powerful. This is useful. It is good. I just wouldn't take it. But that's me. Last Wraith Deviant Feat. Level 10, Distant Wandering. 1 action. It has the traits Evocation and Magical. Your body falls unconscious and your spirit projects out of it. While in spirit form, you can't consciously move your body and you are invisible and inaudible, though a creature still might notice the signs of your presence and passing, just like for an invisible creature affected by silence or a prying eye. You can freely move about, though you can't touch or move anything, cast spells, attack, or otherwise affect anything around you. It's for reconnaissance. Despite your ghostly form, you are not incorporeal and can't pass through barriers you couldn't in your body. That's stupid. Most effects can't harm your spirit form, though some spells like Spirit Blast and Spirit Song explicitly damage a creature's spirit. You can return to your body as a free action. If you are in spirit form at the beginning of your turn, you must attempt another backlash check for your deviation, returning to your body if you fail, which means this is extremely limited in duration. Because if you fail that flat check 3 times, you're done using this power. Awakening. Your spirit moves at the speed of thought. You gain a fly speed and a plus 20-foot status bonus to your speed while in spirit form. Obviously, that's good. You move faster. You can get your job done faster, so you don't have to keep rolling those flat checks. Awakening. Next awakening. Time seems to pass more slowly while you are projecting your spirit, letting you notice things around you. When you enter spirit form, you can recall knowledge or seek. You are quickened while in spirit form and can use the extra action only to recall knowledge or seek. I love that! That makes its job, reconnaissance, so much easier to do. Yes, I like this a lot. This is totally useful. I would let you go through walls because I see absolutely no way to stop it. It doesn't make any fucking sense to me to not let you walk through walls. If there's really a wall I don't want you to walk through as a GM, I can be like, you know what, there's a wall of force right there. You can't. Because plot. And that's it. That is all the Deviant Feats. Yeehaw! I love the Deviant Feats and the Aftermath Feats. So my next video on the same path, the same trend, superpowers, is going to be on magical items that give you superpowers. Thank you for the borrowance of your eyes and ears. And if you're a patron, thank you for being here every day and taking care of me and Loot, this little furball of purriness. Our patrons are automatically entered into a drawing to win something from us every month. Like this little Gemling Dragon 3D print. Look at how cute. Look at that thing. It's adorable. Or dice like that. If you want to join Patreon, $5 or more to be entered in the drawing, links down below. If you want to join us on Discord, links also below. There's just a bunch of nerdy fun people there talking about builds and different theory craftings and sharing pictures of cats. I think this is a cat channel. Well, a cat channel. All right. If you want to catch the beginning of this series, here's the playlist right there. And if you want to see the vampire archetype video that I was talking about for the high speed regeneration, is right there. Okay, thanks. Bye. Mwah.